All praises to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, that is the name of the Father and His Son in the Hebrew tongue. Ariel Ben Yehuda here for Israelites of the Way with part 4 of our series entitled Is the Bible True? Part 4, The Science of the Bible, or the science within the biblical text. I would like to open up with a quote, once again from the book Ready with an Answer by Ankerberg and Weldon, page 335 to 336. So bear with me a moment, won't you please? In The Creator Beyond Time and Space, Mark Eastman and Missler provide a number of examples illustrating how, scientifically speaking, the Bible was thousands of years ahead of its time. They note that, quote, it has become fashionable to ridicule the Bible as scientifically inaccurate and outdated. However, as we will see, there are dozens of passages in the Bible which demonstrate tremendous scientific foreknowledge. In fact, the only credible way to explain the existence of these passages is through divine inspiration. These kinds of statements are simply too far beyond the ability of men living 2,000 or 3,000 years ago to have made accurate guesses. In fact, scientists themselves have been impressed by the scientific accuracy of the Bible. An example is A.E. Wildersmith, having multiple doctorates in science, who wrote The Reliability of the Bible. Critics who claim the Bible is scientifically errant are wrong. In the 20th century, it is commonly presumed that the Bible is fraught with scientific inaccuracies and misconceptions. Students are often given the impression that the numerous scientific fallacies, including the flat earth and geocentric universe, are contained within the Bible. However, when the biblical text is carefully examined, the reader will quickly discover an uncanny scientific accuracy unparalleled by any document of antiquity. The Bible does not use scientific jargon, nor is a scientific text per se. However, as we will see, the Bible does describe scientific phenomenon in common terminology with unmistakable clarity. In virtually all ancient religious documents, it is common to find scientifically inaccurate myths about the nature of the universe and life forms on the planet Earth. Any cursory review of ancient mythology will readily confirm this statement. However, the Bible is unique because of the conspicuous absence of such myths. In fact, throughout the Bible, we find scientifically accurate concepts about the physical universe that were not discovered by modern scientists until very recent times. As a result, one of the ways the Bible authenticates itself and authenticates divine authorship is by revealing an accurate and detailed knowledge of the physical universe. Throughout the Bible, the text, there are highly specific and accurate statements regarding the laws of physics, the nature of our solar system, planet Earth, and its life forms. Furthermore, we find that scientific statements in the Bible are without error or contradiction. What an amazing statement. That there is scientific knowledge contained in the scripture, scientific observations that 3,000 years ago, with the technology that existed then, their advanced scientific knowledge could not have been a guess. And rationally and logically, it had to be a divine source for all of these things. So in this lesson here, we will give just a few examples, because there are many, and time will not allow for us to go through all of them. I'll give a few examples of scientific knowledge that is contained in the biblical text, advanced scientific knowledge contained in the biblical text, wherewith we can see that this book is true, it is supernatural, and it is the word of Yahweh, the Most High, above all the earth. And He's given this knowledge to the prophets, to the biblical writers, for the reason to substantiate, to prove, to verify, authenticate the accuracy, reliability, and truthfulness of the divine scripture, which no other book contains such things. The biblical text is the most unique book on earth, and it is the word of the Most High. So now let's get into some of those examples here. Example number one. When we examine the scientific law, the law of thermodynamics, one of the first laws is that everything tends to go toward chaos, that everything breaks down. In the scripture, it talks about the universe itself, the very universe itself is wearing out. Again, the universe is wearing out, or the universe is going toward chaos. The universe is breaking down. The very sun that we depend on has a lifespan. And it goes from hot to cooler to cooler to cooler. Book of Isaiah, chapter 51, verse 6. Lift up your eyes to the heavens and look upon the earth beneath. For the heavens shall vanish away like smoke, and the earth shall wax old like a garment, and they that dwell therein shall die. In like manner, but my salvation shall be forever, and my righteousness shall not be abolished. The earth, the universe, waxing old. Book of Psalms, 102. Book of Psalms, 102, verses 25 and 26. And it says, Of old thou hast laid the foundation of the earth, and the heavens are the work of thy hands. They shall perish, but thou shalt endure. Yea, all of them shall wax old like a garment, as a vesture shalt thou change them, and they shall be changed. And it goes on to say in verse 27, But thou art the same, and thy years shall have no end. The Most High is the same, his years has no end. Now, before the 20th century, this concept of a decaying universe was a foreign one. There was no observable evidence for this at the time that these verses were written. In fact, the opposite was thought to be true by most scientific thinkers, philosophers, and writers of today. They thought of a universe that will always be. Example number 2. The innumerable amount of stars. The innumerable amount of stars in our galaxy, solar system, and in the universe. Book of Jeremiah, chapter 33. Verses 22, or verse 22. And it reads, And the hosts of heaven cannot be numbered, neither the sand of the sea measured. So will I multiply thy seed of David my servants and the Levites that minister unto me. There was a time when popular thought was that the stars could be counted and numbered. There are over 100 billion stars in our own Milky Way galaxy. That's an estimate. But there are probably hundreds of billions of galaxies. Let's get that for a second. Let's think about that. There are over 100 billion stars in our galaxy alone, which is called the Milky Way. But there are probably hundreds of billions of galaxies themselves. And it would take trillions of years to count them all. Who has that type of lifespan? The stars are innumerable. The scriptures tell us that before space telescopes could look out and venture out into space and peer through the darkness to determine that we live in a solar system and in a galaxy. Number 3. The sun has a circular orbit. Again, the sun has a circular orbit. Psalms 19:6 reads, "His going forth is from the end of heaven, and his circuit unto the ends of it, and there is nothing hid from the heat thereof." Indeed, the sun does move in a circular orbit from one end of the earth and one end of the heavens to the next. And nothing could escape this heat that the sun puts out. In fact, the sun moves in a circuit at about 600,000 miles per hour around one of the spiral arms of the Milky Way galaxy. David wrote about this phenomenon. King David himself wrote about this phenomenon over 3,000 years ago. Advanced scientific knowledge being spoken of here in the scriptures, divinely inspired by the Most High as he talked to his servants and the prophets. His prophets, the servants. Point number 4. Again, this is the biblical science, or science within the Bible, that authenticates, verifies, substantiates that the Bible indeed is a true book above all others. This is the Most High's word to mankind, particularly the Israelites. Number 4, the earth is a globe suspended in space by nothing. The earth is a globe, or a circle, suspended in space, held up by nothing at all. The book of Job, chapter 26, verse 7 reads, "He stretched out the north over the empty place and hanged the earth upon nothing." Isn't that amazing? How could Job, one of the oldest books in the scripture, how could Job know such a thing without divine inspiration? Book of Isaiah, chapter 40, verse 22 reads, "It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretch out the heavens as curtains, and spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell in." Isaiah 40:22, the circle of the earth. Strictly amazing. Now, at the time that this was written, in antiquity, thousands of years ago, the popular belief is that the earth was standing upon something. In fact, in mythologies and philosophies, it was thought that the earth was sitting upon a turtle or an elephant. They also believed that the earth was flat. We know that not to be true. Isaiah is writing about 28 centuries ago. In Job, even earlier than that. Speaking of something they could not have naturally known. There were no rocket ships back then. The book of Job itself is said to be very ancient. And in the book of Job itself, there are about 24 disclosures of advanced science written in that. In the book of Job alone, 24 advanced scientific knowledge statements. Strictly amazing. Point number 5, in closing out these points. There are many more points that can be made, but I want to be brief just to whet your appetite. It is incumbent, as always, upon the serious student to not only take the time to reflect, but also do your own research and make your own conclusions. This is just an introduction to a subject. Number 5, the jet stream. Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 6 through 7. It says, "The wind goeth toward the south, and turneth about unto the north. It whirleth about continually, and the wind returneth again according to his circuits." Verse 7. "All the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. Unto the place from whence the rivers come, thither, and they return again." This was written about 3,000 years ago by King Solomon. He spoke of global wind currents in these verses, in the earth's water cycle itself. This is an accurate description of the circular flow around the planet Earth, the circular wind flow around the planet Earth that's talked about every evening on the daily news, in weather reports. Your favorite meteorologist refers to this phenomenon that's described by King Solomon in Ecclesiastes 1, verse 6 through 7. This is known as the jet stream. The scriptures talked about this 3,000 years ago, before our modern meteorologists. Amazing. Strictly amazing. Advanced scientific knowledge here. This can't be a guess. This can't be explained by natural means. The science that's in the Bible. This is a supernatural book that you have right on your coffee table, right among the books in your library. An app on your phone. Supernatural wisdom and knowledge above all other books. Other books are not even worthy to be compared. This is the word of the Most High. Now, in closing out this, I'm going to give a number of references, biblical references that you can go look up to further add to this discussion on your time. And I admonish, and it will behoove you to go look these things up on your own. I'm going to give you the scriptures so that you can go back and look at these things yourself, to show and to prove that the Bible is indeed a true book. So here are a few more other examples. A, the rain cycle, mentioned in Job 36, 27 through 28. Evaporation, talked about in Psalms 135 and verse 7. C, condensation, Job 26 and 8, and also Job 37 and 11, and also verse 16. That talks about condensation. Again, Job chapter 26 and 8, 37, 11, and verse 16 in the same chapter. D, the earth's rotation, spoken of in Job 38 and 12, and also verse 14. E, the size of the universe, is mentioned in Isaiah chapter 55 and 9, Job 22 and 12, and Jeremiah 31 and 37. In F and final, the precession of orbits, spoken of in Jeremiah chapter 31, verses 35 through 36. And those are just a few examples. There are many more throughout the scriptures. But here are a few that, if you will, you can go and take a look at on your own and compare with scientific data, current scientific data, and you will see that the technology today verifies and proves the scientific knowledge of the day that the scriptures were written. Again, a supernatural book is in your very midst. So to make a conclusion to this video, I'm going to take again from the book Ready with an Answer by Ankerberg and Weldon, because these gentlemen sum it up much better than I can. So I would like to share this with you. From the book Ready with an Answer, page 340. And it reads, "Certainly for skeptics to successfully argue that the Bible is not the inspired word of the Most High, they must explain how the Bible contains statements such as these, which were often disharmonious with the accepted knowledge of the time in which they were written, and yet so accurate in the light of today's facts of science. In essence, to argue that the evidence or the evidences for the biblical inspiration are a result of a myriad of lucky guesses requires an enormous measure of faith. Such an assertion requires us to believe that ancient fishermen, tent makers, shepherds, kings, and paupers were so separated by the 1,500 years of 3 different continents could consistently and without error describe the nature of the universe, planet Earth, and its life forms in a way that is fully consistent with 20th century science. It requires us to believe that those same men wrote history in advance, all of this without the guidance of one supernatural inside information. Indeed, the 20th century, more than any time in history, it can be demonstrated that the Bible is a skillfully designed, integrated message system that evidences supernatural engineering in every detail." Closing statement. This is Ariel Ben Yehuda for Israelites of the Way. This is part 4, the science of the Bible, or the science contained within the biblical text. I leave you in peace. Shalom.